my name is Sarah, and today I'm going to be doing a spoilery-free review for Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I originally was sent an arc of this book from the publisher. I emailed them a bunch of times and begged them for it. But yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts of Caraval. A legendary competition, a mesmerizing romance, an unbreakable bond between two sisters. So, when I first read this book, I read it within one sitting. Originally, I rated this book, I think a 4.9 on the rating scale, but after a little bit more thought, I have actually reduced the rating down to 4 stars, and I will get into why I did that in a little bit, but first I'll just give you a general overview and then some of my likes and dislikes about the book. So this story is about two sisters that have a very close sisterly bond, and there is a traveling circus called Caraval that happens kind of every year, and for years they've been trying to get tickets. It's super exclusive and hard to get into, but just before Scarlet, I would argue the main character, her father betroths her to this other guy, and then she gets approved to go to Caraval, and so there's a lot of kind of inner turmoil, and then they decide to scoot off, run away, and go to the carnival. And from there we have a series of magical events where Tella, her sister, Scarlet's sister, gets kidnapped, and essentially the whole game is trying to find Tella. There's lots of kind of magical elements. The story is very whimsical. A lot of people would liken it to the Night Circus. I wouldn't, but that's what I was told going into it. Overall, the world building was fairly interesting. The concept was very nice. There was a good amount of characters where it wasn't overwhelming or anything, and we were able to see a lot of people's kind of backstories. And overall, I thought it was a very entertaining read. Like I said, I read it all within one night. So alongside Scarlet and Tella, we also have a few other characters. One of them, his name is Julian. He helps the two girls escape. And then there is Legend, and Legend is the creator and ring leader of Caraval. You don't necessarily see Legend, but you do hear a bit of about him from the characters talking about him. So these different characters are fairly interesting. Julian has a bit of a interesting sort of lovey relationship going on in the story. I won't delve too much into it just because, spoilers. And another thing that I really liked was the sisterly bond between Tella and Scarlet. You really get the idea that these two people are they've gone through some shit with their dad. He's super abusive, and just overall while Scarlet is looking for Tella in Caraval, you really get that sense of urgency, oh crap, my sister, she be gone. One of the things that I did not like, however, was this book is very much kind of marketed towards this is a magical circus idea, and really it's not. It's totally not. If you're going into it thinking it's the Night Circus, you will be sorely disappointed, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, I do like it. I don't expect it to be the Night Circus, but I mean, just the whole carnival aspect of it was a little bit of a letdown, just because it's kind of everything happens on this island, and it's not super magical-y. There's not a lot of magical elements. You kind of have a few snippets of magical things happening, and some things are kind of explained, but you really don't get that deep immersion. I was expecting really extravagant carnival aspects to the story, and you really don't get that, unfortunately. That being said, it was still super interesting, and the elements that were added, there's some fortune tellers kind of there, and there's things that move when they're not supposed to move, and there are magical elements, don't get me wrong. I was just expecting something super over the top, crazy Cirque du Soleil stuff, and you didn't really get that, so that was just kind of the one thing I was kind of aw, darn it. The other thing I didn't like, I won't get into for spoiler purposes, but I really did not like the ending. If you've read the book, maybe you'll agree with me, but please try to keep the comments spoiler-free, because this is a spoiler-free video. But just overall, I was really kind of disappointed with the ending, because I was what the hell? So besides kind of those 2 points, another thing I sort of didn't like was there was a tiny bit of insta-love that was kind of a little weird. Another thing that was kind of a little off was the competition aspect, because I guess it kind of goes into the magical stuff going on in the story. But when the girls accept their tickets, they're able to choose whether they want to participate or they want to watch. And throughout the story, you don't hear about anyone actually watching them. There's really not a lot of people going around, and there really isn't a lot of other competition happening. There's really not a focus on the other people fighting to win Caraval. It's really just Scarlet trying to find Tella with Julian, but I feel that there really could have been a lot more like competition. Like there was really not a lot that I saw besides like one guy that's like, oh, as well as the characters kind of take everything at face value while everyone's trying to trick them. But I mean, besides the like competition thing, like honestly I don't like reading about competition, so that didn't bother me a lot. I just thought I'd bring it up just in my review. I don't know, it's just kind of like one of those things, and so because it wasn't included in this book very much at all, I was kind of like, I noticed it, I was like, I acknowledged it was there, and I was like, you know, I don't care at all because I hate people getting in the way of the main character. But if that's something you're really kind of hoping for when going into this book, just know that there is not a ton of it. Going back to the things that I did like though, I'm trying to keep these like, you know, compliment sandwich, good, bad, good. Overall, I really enjoyed reading it. It was super like enthralling. You just kind of like get sucked into the world. Like you can really tell that Stephanie Garber is a very talented writer. I liked the banter between characters. I liked the originality of the story. I liked the theme of kind of like mystical, magical, crazy, circusy stuff. While we didn't get a ton of it, it was still present, and I still loved what I read about like all the weird magic stuff that was going on, as well as like the overarching idea of like this legend character and like what is he doing and what is he scheming? So many questions. And the end of this book ends with a lot of questions, which really makes me excited for the next book in the series trilogy. I don't know what it's gonna be. Overall, if you haven't read it yet, I would recommend giving it a go if this sounds at all appealing to you. I liked it. Totally will be continuing with this series, and yeah. So once again, thank you to the publishers for sending me this book early because it was super exciting to read the arc. And yeah, so please in the comments below let me know if you've read this book, what your thoughts are, if you liked it, and if you kind of like agreed with some of the stuff that I was talking about. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching my review. My name is Sarah, and I will see you guys later.